Hello there, I'm going to show some new stuff in the Cerebral debugger, but in case you haven't heard of Cerebral or seen its debugger before, I thought I would just do a quick go-through of the debugger. So Cerebral is based on signals. So what we're seeing here is that when this application fired up, it fired off a filter clicked signal. And the reason it did that is because I'm using the Cerebral router. And the router just hooks URLs onto signals. So this base URL here fired up the filter clicked signal, and this signal ran one action called setFilter, which changed the app.footer.filter path in the state tree and passed in the argument all. And as you can see on the right side here, we have the complete state tree, which we can investigate at any time when running the application. So what's kind of neat here is that when I now do changes to the application, we see that new signals are fired. We can see what actions has been run, what state changes has been done. And we can also see the changes live in the state tree. Yes, so that is what the debugger has been all about up to this point. But now we also have components. So you can think of the signals as being like from an interaction and into the state tree, but components is more about from the state tree and out to the components again. So what we see on the left side here are all the active state paths in the application, meaning that we have some components mounted here which are interested in some specific state paths. So that is what we see here. And we also see how many components are interested in a specific state path. We also have a log here. So this log is just a render log. So the last render that was done in this application changed the path app.new.title, and the component that rendered based on that change was the new to-do component. So if I hit enter here now, we can see that both the active state paths has changed, because now we have a new component listening to a specific state path, and we have new components listening to already existing active state paths. So this gives you really great insight into what's happening on the other side of this loop. And if we look at the log, we can see that the last render had changes related to app.list.todos 0 ID and saving, and we also changed app.new.isSaving, and these are all the components that were actually affected by this new render. There's also a time in milliseconds here, but you have to be very careful trusting that, because this is just based on like date now. And it starts right before it runs the component updates and then stops right after it. And you can't really trust it, but it does give you some insight into what's happening. So you can go down here and you can investigate the last 20 renders of the application. And this just gives you a really great insight into the behavior of rendering. Does it do what you expect when you make a state change in your application? You can also see the effect a state path change has on your application. So if, for example, I click this to-do down here, you see it highlights that to-do. And if I click is saving, we can see that that one affects more of the application. So that's like an overview, but you can dive into the more details, as you can see here. Now, I don't think you're going to use the components part when you do active development. That is more the signals. But it's really nice to, probably when you're done implementing, you can just verify that what state changes are being done and what components are actually affected by it. Okay, so that is the Cerebral debugger. It's not released yet. It will take a couple of more weeks because we're having a hangout to discuss some details around this change. But I hope you like it, and I'm really looking forward to releasing it. Thanks for listening.